welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie. Last time around, we got some stuff done in the swamp, and in this episode, we're heading to Gobi's Valley. And we're also going to finish off Freeze's Peak towards the end of this episode as well. So I guess you could say that this episode is going to be rather hot and cold. And actually, we're going to learn the final bottles move here as well, which ties into these shoes that we briefly saw during the whole Mr. Vile stuff. But yeah, that should be easily taken care of. So we are definitely, as of Bubble Gloop Swamp, we are in the mid-game of Banjo-Kazooie, which mainly focuses around Bubble Gloop Swamp as well as Freeze's Peak and Gobi's Valley. Particularly Freeze's Peak and Gobi's Valley, more so than the swamp. The swamp is kind of just there, as it were. Kind of a good bridge between the early levels, which are on the easier side, and the mid-game where things definitely spike up just a bit. But thankfully, we got the blue eggs cheat last time around, which will double our egg count. Which for this level specifically is very good because there are a lot of things that involve eggs and egg shooting, as it were. So let's head on over here. There's a flight pad there. Keep a note on that. But before we worry about that, there's this giant banjo-looking Sphinx over here. There's something interesting you can do with this Sphinx, besides getting a free Mumbo token, of course. So apparently, the Sphinx's nose is clogged up. So what you want to do is shoot, I think, one egg into each nostril ought to do it just fine, to be honest. But, of course, the camera can be a little on the fickle side, but yeah, let's try this maybe. Maybe that'll work. No, still not quite close enough. But maybe now? Dang, dude, this is actually kind of rigid how you have to do this. And I'm trying to, like, aim the camera there. Okay, there we go. We got it that time, yeah. The camera can be a bit to work around, but keep in mind this is still one of the earlier 3D platformer games ever made. So, even though it's a pretty sizable improvement on what Super Mario 64 brought to the table, it's still got a few of its rough patches. And if you're wondering if by the time they get to Banjo-Tooie they've ironed out most of that stuff, I would say yeah. I do remember the camera in Tooie being touched up, but at the end of the day, you're still playing on an N64 controller, so make of that what you will. Or you were, I should say. Now we're playing on Switch, and you can also play these games on Xbox, so we do have to keep that in mind. We can't just ignore the consoles now, can we? But, I think I'm in good position here, actually, yeah. So one egg into the Sphinxes that are on the wall. I guess you can call them the wall Sphinxes, as it were. And there's an orange Jinjo over here, so let's say hi to Jinjo! Yeah, we already have yellow and orange. And there's some feathers here, which if you went to Freeze's Peak first, before coming here, which is recommended, yeah, you're probably going to be low on the feather count. So you can take advantage of this opportunity to refill on your feathers a bit, why not? But yeah, as you can tell, we're going to be using eggs a lot in Gobi's Valley because there are hungry Sphinxes and apparently a Sphinx whose nose has to be unclogged by somehow shooting more stuff into them. I guess that's the same attitude for why people think using cotton swabs to clean your earwax is a good idea. And I know on paper it seems like it, but what you're actually doing is you're mostly just pushing that earwax back into your head, which is not healthy. It is not healthy, let me tell you. Anyway, pretty much done with that area. It's an orange Jinjo, Mumbo token, some notes, and a Jiggy. We're off to a pretty solid start here. Now, what I'm curious about, there should be some boots around here somewhere. I know there are, because we can go around the sand here, but for some reason, I am not seeing any boots around here. Oh, there they are! The rascals, right in the tail of the Sphinx, as it were. So we need to use these wading boots. We could have gotten that extra life, but mostly you want to get these musical notes over here. A 1 and 2, and a Mumbo token. So yeah, this path is way better to take than the one that has an extra life, which we have a bunch of already. Now, the time limit for the boots here is a little more strict. But apparently, I just barely got it, so we're good. More than a quarter of the way through with the notes. Very good to see. So let's head on up here. We're going to try and get as much done as we can without flying, which is probably more than you might think. So these steps right here have notes on the rails, so quote-unquote, the guardrails of the stairs. And we do want to get these out of the way because these are kind of out-of-the-way notes. Mind the beetles. This is the first main level where the beehives will have the bees flying around them, as was hinted at in Grunty's lair during the last episode. Ooh. Yeah, Talontrot, you're trading control for speed. For better or for worse. Okay. And again, the camera. Camera can be a little fickle. Alright, let's get these notes over here. Easier said than done. I'm actually kind of tempted to swap back to Banjo to get these notes, but maybe we'll be fine. Maybe, baby. Oh, God. We're actually almost halfway done with the notes, which actually has me a little mind blown, and we haven't even been here that long. So just to show the efficiency of this level. A lot of the focus of Gobi's Valley is the pyramids around here. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the pyramids and whatnot. And the beat bomb is necessary to enter this pyramid right here. But before we do that, there's the Bottles Molehill that will teach us to learn the final new move in the game. Of course, you want to have feathers for when we go back to Freezy Peak. And for this level too, but mostly Freezy Peak. Well, actually, we managed to get a lot done there. So, Bottles will teach us how to use the Turbo Trainers. The final move in the game. Well played, Banjo. You've now learned all the moves in the game. Way to break the fourth wall there. Although you'll find that this game is very guilty of this. So, yes, there are musical notes on the sand. We're going to have to find a pair of wading boots around here. Actually, I think they're over here. There's also this beetle enemy. And that was a rather easy kill, so... Before we worry about the jiggy you get by using Turbo Trainers, let's take advantage of the wading boots to go over here ASAP and get these musical notes. ASAP, and I mean it. Actually, this will put us just over the halfway mark in terms of musical notes, which is pretty good. Again, the time limit is pretty clutch. As you can see, there's a mummy hand over there that's holding a jiggy. The thing is, when you go close to the mummy hand, I think his name is Grabba. When you go close to Grabba, he will go back into the sand like a troll. So what you want to do is you want to hit over here, 2 musical notes next to these Turbo Trainers, and boom! You save a little bit of time by being in Talontrot mode ahead of time and going into the Turbo Trainers that way. So be mindful, and you might want to line yourself up properly, and BAM! No, we've had 1,000 years, well done, mortal. Oh, peace. Alright, so that should be jiggy number 2. And there we go. It seems like the text for the levels will change depending on the color aesthetic. I noticed that the letters are blue here, but I've also noticed that in other levels the letters will sometimes change to yellow. It's a nice touch. Okay, so there's actually a pretty tough challenge here involving this ascending pyramid, as it were. First, let's get this Mumbo token out of the way, otherwise it's going to keep taunting me. There are some music notes to collect here, so we want to try and take care of the notes ahead of time so that you won't be distracted trying to climb up here with the Turbo Trainers in order to access an entrance within a time limit, which may or may not be easier to achieve in this version rather than the original N64 version, and maybe the Xbox Live Arcade version as well. I don't know. Honestly, with this Switch version, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to the Xbox version unless I invest in another Xbox console, which I'm not sure how likely that is, but, you know. But let's fly on over here and use the Talontrot, and, I could save state here, but since I already got the notes ahead of time, I don't really think it's necessary to do a safety state here. So you want to hit the switch while you're in Turbo Trainer mode. The time limit is technically 25 seconds, but it counts down to 20, so it's effectively a 20-second time limit, which is rather annoying that it works that way. You could do a little bit of a shortcut by jumping here and there when you can. It helps somewhat, and yeah, this is going to be really close, literally 1 second. Alright, so this is going to be the flooded pyramid. Swim back here for a very well hidden mumbo token that's probably impossible to get if you don't get that. But since you don't need every single mumbo token, it's whatever. And we get this Jiggy on top of what looks like an homage to Mario. You see like the big nose and the rocks that form like a mustache of sorts? I definitely see the Mario figure there. I don't know if it's just me. If you guys can see it, post it in the comments, why not? Alright, so let's get the music notes. Be mindful of the mummy enemies in this level, because the only way to completely defeat them is with the Wonder Wing. Kind of reminds me of the dry bones from the Mario series. Those enemies, usually you have to kill them with fire or explosions or something like that. But actually, the water from that pyramid will now fill up this area that used to have sand around it. Which is very nice, because now we can go under the water. Yeah, there's a flight pad there for some bizarre reason. I don't understand that. But underwater here, we can actually swim around and grab musical notes and a blue Jinjo. So that means there's only 2 Jinjos left. And I think I know where the green one is, so we're not going to have to worry about that. Nice. Alright, so we should be up to like... Oh, there's a Mumbo token there. I keep forgetting about those guys. But, okay, that should be all the musical notes here. Yeah, very light on the underwater stuff in Gobi's Valley and Freeze's Peak, really. Although, in the case of Freeze's Peak, it's understandable because, like, it's frozen water. Alright, so these guys, they can be a little on the annoying side here. Oh. Okay, hold up. Let me get lined up here. And I think they want, like, 3 eggs apiece. There's going to be, like, 3 or 4 of these guys. So, we'll feed this one. Again, getting the blue eggs cheat done before this, the developers really put that cheat on a very nice position, I have to say. Props to the developers at Rare. Pip pip cheerio and whatnot, and other British euphemisms, as it were. I must admit, I think the first time I heard British euphemisms was actually from Nigel Thornberry on the Wild Thornberries all those years ago. Because one of his catchphrases is, smashing! And I think it's something like that. I think it might be an expression in British culture. I don't know. I'm an American. I admit I'm an unwashed American. I may not be the most cultured, but I'm at least willing to learn about other cultures because I think it's interesting. I don't think it matters that much if the other cultures in question speak the same language as you, but there's a lot more to a culture than language, I think. Wow, was that an unintentionally perfect Sphinx right there? But anyway, it seems 3 is the magic number. Thank God. It'd be teased if it was 4 of them. But we have another pyramid ahead of us. Actually, let me climb this tree, see if there's anything on here. Just feathers. Yeah, we'll collect feathers. But yeah, we took care of the musical notes ahead of time, so we don't have to worry about those, thankfully. But there are some blue eggs to collect around the edges, which, I mean, hey, why don't we collect them, huh? So yeah, let's take care of that. There's a back door there with a Kazooie face on it, which might be interesting to point out, but yeah. Let's climb up to the top, and we can get another Mumbo token. Jesus, we're almost at 30 of them. Let's head in here. Is this the pyramid I'm thinking of? Yes, it is. We want to create a safety state here in case things don't go the way we want them to. There's going to be some musical notes here, but there's also going to be a time limit. Oh, no! So welcome to the maze of someone. I forget the name. I wasn't really paying attention to the dialogue. Bunch of blue eggs there. Oh, that's nice. While you're doing this maze, you need to keep an eye out for a witch switch. Actually, I think we're about to come up to it right now, aren't we? Yes, we are. We landed right on it. We need to hit this witch switch. Like I said, there's a Jiggy in that sarcophagus in the Gobi's Valley Hub. We are going to try and knock that out later on in this episode. And now we want to try and get out of here through the other side that has musical notes as the guide. Just out here, that's going to take us to a dead end. And here we go. I think there may have been a Mumbo token in the maze, but again, it's not necessary to get every single one of them, so I would say use your best judgment. You know, there's the pink Jinjo. That's the Jinjo I wasn't 100% sure of. Another Mumbo token there, a gold feather there, and a Jiggy. So that should be Jiggy number 4. Alright, we're doing pretty good on Jiggies. I would say we're doing really excellent on the musical note count, though. I think we're at, what? Let me check. 77, so basically 80 if you round it up. Okay, I think where we want to go now is actually towards the sand, not that sandy dune. I think we want to go over here, actually, past the cactus. Do keep the cactus in mind, though, because it's going to be fairly important later. This sandy area over here, because we're going to run into a new character here in a little while. A new character that is pretty important throughout the Banjo series, honestly. So you may want to remember his name. Let's hit this switch over here, because this unlocks an extra honeycomb in the cactus. And thankfully there's no time limit for that. And there's the green Jinjo over here, in the little alcove in the pyramid. Just trying to be safe from danger. Can't really blame the guy. You know the green Jinjos are making the money, though. Alright, so that brings us halfway through the Jiggy count here. And now let's head back. Let's grab these music notes, because why not? Actually, I think we can go ahead and knock out what's inside of this pyramid as well. If this pyramid is what I think it is. And if it's what I think it is, yeah. Might be best to knock this out ahead of time. And, yeah, let's get right to it. It's going to be... Oh! Yeah, let me do a safety state here, because I'm not sure what's going to happen if we fail this. Alright, so first, get in the Wonder Wing, kill that mummy. It's looking like there's not going to be a time limit until we actually ground pound one of the panels. So let's try to grab this Mumbo token, brings us to 30, which is a very nice number. And let's go ahead and grab the musical notes, and when you ground pound a panel, there's going to be a specific icon, and you need to keep in mind which icons are which, because that's how you match them, right? And yeah, this can be really tough to do. So I think we just about hit all of them right there. So, okay, that's not right. And that's a musical note. That ain't good. But okay, the Jinjos are right next to one another. And there's Mumbo, so this should be Mumbo. Good. Lower right is the blue eggs. And the blue eggs are over here. No, that's red feathers. And red feathers over here. Alright. I would say the time limit here is pretty generous, though, to be honest. So that's pretty good that they have it like that. That banjo face over there. Yeah, it seems like they give you plenty of chances. So I don't really think that's an issue, per se. Wait, the Kazooies were really right across from one another like that? That's crazy. These should be the eggs. Okay, and these should be the honeycombs. That honey making you craving that honey over there. Wow, I messed up several times, and I'm still about to complete this with like a 15-second buffer. But it is worth noting that if you let that mummy enemy stay alive, the mummy enemy delays your movement, and that can make all the difference. So, yeah, I guess if you have a spare gold feather and use Wonder Wing, it's kind of a freebie Jiggy, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah, this is probably one of the more chill runs of Gobi's Valley I've ever had, to be honest. So it would be nice if we had some wading boots, but I think we're just going to have to... Oh. That's rather... Oh. The carpet just... we can tank a few hits. So what you want to do is you want to head over here and look at the camel. Poor camel. So say hello to Gobi. To free him, just beat Buster the rock that holds his chain, and you can free him. So yeah, we're off to a good start with the relationship between Banjo-Kazooie and Gobi, but things start to get rough after a while, for lack of a better word, and also not to try and spoil future events. So now what we want to do, I think now we actually want to backtrack closer to the entrance, specifically around like the flight pad and all that stuff. And sadly, we're running a little low on health, so we want to try and grab honeycombs. But thankfully, it's fairly easy to run away from the bees. I'd say you can use the roll to get an edge. And they do have a limited range to which they can move. So let's head back over here for a brief detour. And Gobi's now over here with this tree. We didn't get a chance to talk to the tree before. Let's see if we still can. So say hello to Trunker. Trunker is a shriveling tree, and if he doesn't get his water, he will dehydrate and die, because that is how plants work. It's a similar case for human beings, actually. So now, yeah, Gobi's like, he needs all the water for himself. Yeah, you can just Beakbuster his back and give water to the tree. And thus begins the wonderful relationship between Banjo-Kazooie and Gobi. But at least in this case, we're also helping someone else out. And for all we know, Gobi could be lying about not having enough water, you know? You never know. Because sometimes lying can be essential for survival, as much as some of us hate to admit it. We're actually up to 8 Jiggies already. Before we continue, I'm kind of curious, what's our time right now? Because I feel like we're going through this fast. Okay, 20 minutes. Okay, so we are going at the appropriate pace. It feels like we're going faster than we are, but... Alright, so now we definitely are ready to move on to the flight portion of Gobi's Valley. And how we want to start this off, funnily enough, we actually want to fly to this alcove over here. And you will see... No, actually, before we do that, let's go to the cactus. Let's also worry about these rings, because these summon more banjo-like sphinxes, as it were. Wow, that ring is just like all over there. So you don't need the beak bomb to go through the rings, but you could use it to make going through the rings faster. But apparently there isn't a time limit, so I don't think it's really necessary unless you're a speedrunner. But you can at least do a little bit of speed boost, right? Since we've already been here over 20 minutes, even though to me it feels like we've only been here like 10 or 15 minutes. Man, pacing over here is good. That said, on average, I would say a good 100% casual run of Gobi's Valley that isn't a speed run. If it's under 30 minutes, that's really good. If it's between 30 to 35, that's solid. If you're taking longer than that, though, again, it might be a case of you could be dying and having to redo stuff, which it is what it is. It's kind of interesting that the game tracks your time at each level. It's almost like the developers had speedrunners in mind somehow. Even though I'm under the impression that speedrunning video games wasn't a very common thing to do in the 90s, if it was definitely in its infancy, as it were. So close to a perfect landing on the Jiggy. But it is what it is. That brings us to 9 Jiggies. We are really close to the end of the Jiggy pool here. And we're at 87 notes. So I'm a little concerned about the note count comparative to the note count, or the note count to the Jiggy count. But over here we have 5 musical notes just laying around here. And another Gobi. This time he had an extra honeycomb. So now he needs to leave the desert to find some peace and quiet. Not sure if he's mad. I mean, Banjo-Kazooie saved him, but then doing all that stuff, I imagine it's been a conflict of interest for poor Gobi. So I guess we're going to try and rough this out too. Ooh, oh man, that was close. Okay, now what we want to do, we're up to 92 notes, so I guess that's pretty good. And I think we have all of the extra honeycombs as well. Well, we still need to get the extra honeycomb that's in the cactus. We did unlock that earlier. So yeah, I guess now's a perfect time to get back to the flight pad. Yes, I know, it's a little... Oh, man, the camera. It's a little on the repetitive side, I understand. But you gotta do what you gotta do in Banjo-Kazooie. Let's go over here. And what we want to do is we want to try and find that cactus. Beak bomb helps you go faster. I think in Banjo-Tooie you can actually hold down the B button and extend the length of your beak bomb to go really far, which is a pretty nice quality of life change. Alright, so let's grab that extra honeycomb. We should be good there. I don't feel like we're missing any musical notes here, but we can always do a final sweep after we're done getting the final Jiggy in the level, which I'm saving for last because this may very well be the 10th Jiggy if you decided to do Gobi's Valley before Freezy Peak and you don't have the Beat Bomb, as it were. So what I'm doing here could be a real scenario for a player. So in here, there are some musical notes here. I don't know if this is going to be 8. I don't know. If it's not 8, it'll be 6. Oh, and there's a Momo token there. Don't mind if I do. Alright, so please tell me there's one more alcove. Oh, yes! Yes. Okay, we got all the music notes and the extra honeycomb. We're good. So what we want to do here is we want to put eggs into that platform? Not platform, that pot going around and rotating around the snake pot, as it were. Each egg you put in there will make it go slightly faster, and when you eject the egg from behind, it bounces, so it can be a little tricky to time. So if you want to spam, don't be afraid to spam. Once you do, get on top of the snake. The name of the snake is Histup, and try to stay on him if you can, and whoop, do a flip-flap to get the Jiggy. You can also grab onto the snake itself, and it also works as like a rope and stuff like that, or a tree. So I figured I'd show this off for you guys, but yeah, that's 100% in Gobi's Valley in 25 minutes, which is pretty good. That's faster than Bubblegloop Swamp. I'm shocked, honestly. Okay, well, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule, aren't we? Alright, so let's go ahead and exit Gobi's Valley, and we're going to head back to Freezy Peak to finish our business there. It may take a little longer than our first visit, because we are going to go for all the notes and such this time around. But, yeah, there's also stuff to do in the lair itself. We need to unlock the next area, as it were. So yeah, let's head back into here. And thankfully, the waiting boots are right here that we can take advantage of, so we don't hurt ourselves more than we have to. This is also a pretty good time to mention that the extra life system in Banjo-Kazooie, it won't display more than the number 9, but you can get more than 9 lives, for what that's worth, I guess. So the best way to get that Jiggy is to wait for the shock spring pad, and yeah, it's a little tricky to do that with the camera, the way it is, but there we go. Yeah, a little tricky, but not impossible, and that brings us up to 6 Jiggies in Grunty's lair. Looking pretty good. Our business here is pretty much done for now. So let's head back here, and let's finish our business in Freezy Peak. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, not really. Well, actually, I guess we could go up here real quick for no real reason. To open the 450 note door. It would be nice to see an even 500, but we did slip on a few musical notes during the first visit to Freezy Peak. Alright, so this area, as you already know, if it has red eyes, it's either a black dragon, if you're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!, or it's an entrance to a hub, a level hub, as it were. And believe it or not, this right here is the level hub for level 8. But we want to come over here to the left, to this tunnel over here. Don't be afraid to surface for a little more air before you do this, because this path will take us to a new painting that we can complete. Painting, puzzle, whatever you want to call it. That we can complete to unlock level 7, which is the real next level that we should do. Depending on how you go, though, you can do levels out of order. I mean, kind of have to for Gobi's Valley and Freezy Peak because of the movement optimization for 100%. You know, you're going to backtrack to one level or the other eventually. So, alright, let's hold over here, and we're going to have to do a little bit of the side platforming here. Get used to this, by the way, because this is something you may have to do again later on. So this painting is looking pretty empty. Yuck! Wow, that cost 10 Jiggies, so literally every Jiggy we just got in Gobi's Valley. And this unlocks level 7, Mad Monster Mansion. Gotta love the alliteration there. Alright, but we can actually jump over here. Don't mind that thing, and just grab a Mumbo token, because there is an animal transformation in Mad Monster Mansion. Animal in quotation marks, I should say. But before we do that, next time on Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie, we need to worry about finishing Freeze's Peak first. But I just wanted to get the painting out of the way, since it's convenient enough to do so, and we already know the entrance to the mansion is further back anyway. There isn't really anything else you can do here for the time being, I don't think, but I am curious to check over here, at least. Oh yeah, there's a Mumbo token right there, so why don't we get it? Why not? Don't mind the fish too much. It is a pain, but it's not as bad as Snackers the shark. Oh, Snackers. Yeah, be careful about Snackers, by the way, because Treasure Trove Cove is not the last time we'll be seeing him. Possibly. I'm not going to try and spoil too far ahead, because that would make me a jerk. I don't want to be labeled a jerk. Alright, so let's head back, and yeah, we are all ready to go back to Freeze's Peak, ladies and gentlemen, as well as some shenanigans with this area right here. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, well, there's still going to be some shenanigans either way, but yeah, let's go ahead and head to Freeze's Peak. I remember what I said in the first episode, that you should get in the habit of doing a save state at the beginning of a level, just to prevent bad stuff from happening. I haven't been doing a very good job of that habit, have I? But it is what it is. Let's grab these feathers before we go. And, yep, let's go ahead and finish off our business here in Freeze's Peak. I would say my top 3 favorite levels in this game are Treasure Trove Cove, Freeze's Peak, and Bubble Goop Swamp. Gobi's Valley is pretty fun too. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a safety state here. Since we got half of the Jiggies last time around, we don't have to worry about collecting presents or getting to the sled to take care of Boggy, but we probably still want to head back to the top of the snowman anyway for other related business, as it were. Now that I think about it, the top of the snowman is where the Jiggy spawns after you defeat all of the Sir Slushes, the evil snowmen. I'm just going to call them evil snowmen, because that's what I'm used to calling them, okay? But here, Boggy is now all well and better, so he'll be over here waiting to race, but for some reason he won't want to race Banjo and Kazooie. He'll want to race a different type of opponent. So we're going to have to come back and do that, possibly after we do the animal transformation at Mumbo's. So over here at the leg of the snowman statue where we found the Mumbo tokens before, you want to collect the musical notes around here. Well, hey, you just passed your best note score. Well, I guess got to show off that dialogue, so yeah, if you get like 10 notes on one visit and you come back later, you might get that message. I wonder if he'll still give us a message when we get to 100 notes, though. I am a little curious about that. But hey, we'll find out one way or the other. Be careful of the cold water, because it works similar to the Piranha water from Bubble Goop Swamp in that it will take away 1 unit of your health, as it were. And I don't think we want to worry about the animal transformation now. Let's go up the scarf to collect the musical notes from the yellow squares of the scarf. Such great design, and we can also collect more feathers too, because we're going to need it to head to the top of the snowman and to defeat all of the Sir Slushes, since every beak bomb costs 1 flower. And aiming the beak bombs at the Sir Slushes, or the evil snowman, yeah, that's easier said than done. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we're already at 50. The musical note right behind that beehive. It's kind of well hidden there. So yeah, let's go ahead and make sure we got all the notes here. And alley-oop, jump over here, grab this Jinjo. Make sure we have gold feathers. And yep, we already got the Jiggy in the pipe earlier. So let's use the shock spring pad. 1 and a 2. We can get the fly pad over here, and that should save us a bit of face, but I mean, not really, because we don't need to go to the top right now. We need to defeat the evil snowmen, Sir Slushes. Okay. So let's start down here. Let's be very careful about how we aim this. Bam! Whoa! God. Thankfully, the aerial maneuverability where you can actually fly up after you do a successful beak bomb is pretty on point. Unfortunately, you have to aim specifically at their hats with the red X's in order to fully slay the creatures. Which is easy, again, easier said than done. It's not the largest target in the world. Okay, and bam! I think that might have been on the rim of the hat, but it still counts. So I think there's like 5 or 6 of these guys we got to take down in total. Rather annoying, but as you may have noticed, some of them hide pretty useful stuff, like an extra honeycomb. Alright, this might be the last one right here. So, YOLO! Ooh, boy! Yep, there it is. Alright, so we're going to have to spend a lot of feathers to go all the way back up to the top of the snow, man. This is like one of the most extensive use of your feathers in the entire game, I would say. And this ice cube is annoying because it can push you off, potentially. Let's go ahead and grab this Jiggy. This should be Jiggy number 6, the first on the second half. Over here, let's get these honeycombs because we needed this. I'm going to do another safety state here because, since we're on slippery territory, it's possible I might fall off and I can't get all the notes right away. Which is rather annoying, but yeah, these notes are pretty high up and fairly easy to miss if you weren't going for all the jiggies, I suppose. So let's do that. And I'm using Banjo because if you're doing Talon Trot, obviously things are going to be even more slippery than they need to be. There are some blue eggs we can get here. This one's more spacious, so you could probably be okay doing Talon Trot around here. Hit detection's a little spotty though, so you have to be mindful of that. Okay, we're good on eggs. Let's jump down here. Whoa! Maybe we can get a feather that we missed earlier. Since, yeah, that could come in handy. Every feather counts. Okay, so I think what we want to do now, actually, we want to head back to the tree to get the musical notes that are hidden inside there. Funnily enough, ooh, that's pretty clutch. Okay, and let's maybe try to land in the water. No, that's gonna hurt doubly probably, or not, or it is. Uh-oh. Okay, this. Okay, I was about to say that looked like it was gonna be pretty bad. So we can collect some feathers around the edges here. That's nice. Alright, so let's head back here, and let's go in the tree, because in the tree, around the tree, there's musical notes as well. But in the tree, there are musical notes that we had to pass up because we got the Jiggy during last visit, and a present. Can't forget about that present. There's also some red feathers on the next level, which we definitely want to try and get, since it's useful, of course. Round and around and around and around. Try not to get dizzy. Getting dizzy. Alright, let's grab the pole. And it's optional, but let's go ahead and collect these red feathers so our feather supply can be rather healthy. Man, it's just collectibles, collectibles, collectibles non-stop. But yeah, that's the genre we're working with here. But we're pretty much done. I think at the very top there are some eggs, but we have full capacity on eggs right now, so I'm not really worried about that. Again, you want to be careful of another hidden ice cube over here. We want to grab the notes to bring us to 67. Ever so close to that nice number. Let's head over here. Get this beehive to make sure health is in good shape. I think you can talk the bottles again to refill your health even more, but I am not 100% sure about that. So let's get these musical notes. And of course this Jinjo. Jinjo! They're so adorable. You can't hate on them at all. Well, no, I don't think you can hate on them. Not even in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, matter of fact. So let's grab these feathers. Ooh, hold up. I missed quite a few of those. Yeah, they put a lot there near a flight pad. That's actually very good item placement design, I would say. So this will bring us to 3/4 of the music count, or music note counts. That's pretty good. That witch switch is placed pretty precariously. So maybe we could do a rat-tat cancel and almost make it, but there's a honeycomb right there, so That makes the difference. So this switch actually gets us a Jiggy at the top of the Freezy Peak entrance. Or hub, I should say. So that's pretty cool. Managed to dodge that icy water, and now we want to head east. Over here. Okay, we only took 1 damage, that's pretty good. So there is another honeycomb over here with a Mumbo token, which we want to collect because we are about to do business with Mumbo Jumbo, matter of fact. A bunch of notes to collect here, and check around the houses because there's stuff to collect around the houses as well. Such as a green Jinjo. We're still missing yellow Jinjo though. Okay, I'm a little concerned about yellow Jinjo and where he might be. Possibly in Mumbo's skull, possibly. It's a very good chance. There's another flight pad here in case you need it for anything you might have missed. And there was a Mumbo token there, so it actually it all works out. Actually, I guess we can just fly to Mumbo's skull. You're technically supposed to use the waiting boots, I think, or at least you're supposed to power through it. But you can use the waiting boots to go back. But I will go ahead and spoil that the animal transformation... Oh, there's no Mumbo token behind the chair. So I guess it's only sometimes there'll be a Mumbo token behind Mumbo's chair. Makes sense. Yeah, the yellow Jinjo's here, as well as a bunch of musical notes. That's pretty convenient. This feels like the most fruitful Mumbo skull we've been in thus far in the playthrough. If you think I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. Alright, so this should bring us down to 21 Mumbo tokens. Wait, what's going on here? Huh? We just got turned into a washing machine. Okay, well, I guess I can make this work for Freezy Peak. But, so much for that. The real transformation of Freezy Peak is actually the walrus. The humble walrus. Which is unfortunately closer to the termite transformation than the crocodile one. Because the crocodile one could actually do something. The walrus is incapable of doing anything but moving, but the thing is, the walrus is immune to cold water. But also, the walrus is necessary to persuade a certain other walrus in this level, and it's tied to a race of sorts. And by a race, I mean an actual sport, not like a race of creatures or people. In case people were confused about that sort of thing. Now, because the walrus is so slow, you want to try and be as efficient with your movement as possible. But this is kind of painful to watch, so... Oh my god. But, yeah, I would say the walrus is a fairly underwhelming transformation, all things considered. But it does what it does. It gives you immunity to the cold water. It also gets you access to a place called Waza's Cave. Because that giant walrus we saw earlier that had a Jiggy, that was a walrus named Waza. And because you're so slow, you'll find that enemies like the ice cubes are going to be able to chase you a lot more easily. Also, kind of a shortcut there. It's pretty nice. But we also get 100 musical notes here, so that's even more convenient. Alright, so this is Waza the Walrus. So let's go ahead and collect the Jiggy. And we're actually going to have to go in Waza's Cave with Banjo-Kazooie later on, funnily enough. So let's enter here and see what we got. But there's actually a segment here that we can go through. In the water here, the cold water, it is possible to try and go through the cold water with Banjo-Kazooie, taking damage constantly. And you'll probably barely make it to the end with like 1 or 2 health. But this is where the second extra honeycomb is. Which is not only the last one for Freezy Peak, but it also brings our health to a staggering 8 units. Which is pretty stinking good. Also some feathers and eggs here to top you off. And another extra life because, hey, you never know if you keep getting hit by the ice cubes. As it were. Alright, so we're going to just trek back through here very slowly. And mostly the reason that we need to come back here is actually to collect the orange Jinjo all the way over here. Sadly, the walrus is unable to jump high enough to get the orange Jinjo. It's a rather annoyingly placed Jinjo, I do have to admit. But not every item placement can be perfect. So now we want to head straight for where we saw Boggy earlier, so we can finally do the first race. And let's go ahead and check our totals and our time spent across the 2 visits. 22 minutes, 2 honeycombs, 7 jiggies, all the notes. That's sounding pretty good because we're actually going to get 2 jiggies in total from Boggy, if I'm not mistaken. And we still got to get the Jinjo jiggy. So, yeah, we're just going to trudge along here. Pretty great time to get anything you missed from those platforms where the evil snowman used to be, though. Probably worth mentioning that. Alright, so it's time for the first of 2 races with Boggy. I would say this is the easier one. That makes sense, right? So just jump on the sled with, I'm going to do a safety state here just for my sake. Again, to try and save time. So we want to hit through the red the slalom gates. Is that how you pronounce it? Slalom? Or slalom? I don't know. We want to pass through the gates that are red so that they turn green. You don't want to go through the blue ones because the blue ones are ahead of you. And doing so will waste your time. Unfortunately, Boggy, being the fat ass that he is, will occasionally push you aside, sadly. But you can actually jump to try and get ahead of him a little bit. It seems to work out surprisingly well, all things considered, since you would think that jumping would slow down your ground movement, but not really. It's actually kind of weird how the momentum of the sled works in that sense. Enjoy the fact that you can really get a lot of control with the walrus on the sled, though, because there's going to be a second round of this. And in the second round, it's going to be a lot harder for numerous reasons. Not just because Boggy will be faster, but also because you will be faster. Which also means that you will be harder to control, as it were. But, jumping up there really speeds you up. So, yeah, apparently Mr. Walrus is too quick for Boggy. So yeah, we do get a jiggy for that, and we'll get another jiggy from the second round of the race too. Really funny how technically we get like a third of the jiggies in this world just from Boggy. But I'm going to... Okay, actually I think we're close to Waza's cave, matter of fact. So yeah, this is actually a pretty great time to jump cut. I will see you back in about a minute or two. We'll be back to regular Banjo-Kazooie. And we're back as Banjo-Kazooie. Let's go ahead and enter Waza's cave. Now we can go into it as long as you do so with the walrus ahead of time. And the only thing we need to do here is grab the orange Jinjo and the Jiggy. But, do you notice something behind the ice wall here? There is a floating ice key, it would seem. Nice. So, this is probably a good time to bring up Stop and Swap. This was a feature that they wanted to implement in the original game, wherein you collected items and you swap cartridges to bring the items to Banjo-Tooie. And yeah, it's pretty interesting how all that works out. Oh, apparently Boggy's gonna be back at the same spot. That's not gonna be too far away. We don't need the jump cut, but yeah, and there was like a whole mystery, like with Stop and Swap. A bunch of people were investigating that mystery in like 2006 or so. And it was a pretty big deal on the internet back then in 2006, you know. There was this website called the Rare Witch Project. And I remember being a member on there, actually. And I remember that website being the inspiration for me to finally go back to Banjo-Kazooie and finish it when I was like 14 or 15 years old. Back in like 2000, yeah, like I said, 2006, somewhere around there. Good times, man. So let's go ahead and put a safety state here, because this race is difficult. And not for the right reasons. So, we'll go ahead and accept the race. You would think that we'd get a sled, but no, we get the turbo trainers. So this is the thing you have to do Gobi's Valley first in order to do. Okay? So let's get into Talon Trot ahead of time and try to go through the turbo trainers. Good lord. The hit detection, I'm telling you, it can be weird sometimes. But being so far behind early on in the race should give us a slight edge, actually, because the rubber banding on Boggy will slow down. Yeah, wow, that was quite an edge there we just got. But now Boggy's going to start rubber banding like a mofo, so we need to be careful. And he can still bump you around, so you might want to be careful there. So, ooh. See, he just kind of pushed you through the gate, as it were. Like I said, if you're behind him, he'll start slowing down, but when you're ahead of him, he starts to speed up. You know, just natural rubber banding progression, as it were. But thankfully, towards the end here, with all these inclines, it's a lot easier to stay ahead of the bear, and done and done. Oh, I missed. Oh, I've lost again. Take my other medal. I'm off to look for my kid's presents. That seems like a Boggy-like voice, right? I would think so. Yeah, I still can't believe that we technically get a third of the Jiggies almost just from Boggy alone. It's kind of crazy. And if you really want to extend it, we also get one from his kids. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get this extra life because it was staring at me menacingly or whatever. But, kind of have to go the long way around because... I guess we do have the health to do it, but there's also this platform right here, or present platform, whatever you want to call it. And alley-oop. And thus we send off Freezy Peak and Gobi's Valley as of the end of this episode. And apparently Freezy Peak took a little bit longer than... Wait, I didn't look at that right. Freezy Peak took a little longer than Bubblegloot Swamp, but quite a bit longer than Gobi's Valley. That's surprising. I must be getting good at speedrunning Gobi's Valley, I guess. I don't know. Did I just say I was speedrunning? I have to remind everyone, this is not a speedrun. We have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we are going to go back to Grunty's lair for some shenanigans, but mostly just to get that Jiggy at the top. I don't think we're going to worry about anything else over here for now, but... when we're done in Mad Monster Mansion, which is where we're going to go next time on Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie, we will be returning here, not to Freezy Peak proper, but we will be returning here for another Jiggy. Before we do that, though, what's over here with this Shock Spring pad? Probably a Mumbo token. Yep, just a Mumbo token, and not much else. We do still need like 20-something more tokens total, so I am going to have to be hard on that count, as it were. Okay, we're going to do a safety state here because, again, this is not to make it easier, it's just to save time on what we're about to do. So you hit that switch, it's going to activate that flight pad for a very short amount of time. We want to run over there as fast as we can, because we're not going to have a lot of time to do this. And... yeah, this is why we safety state. Because I don't know why they give you so little time for this. Like, you need at least 1 or 2 more seconds to make this consistent. But you want to get to the pad with the turbo trainers. I believe you want to push the V button to get out of turbo trainers. Or you could just push the jump button. You don't have to cancel out of the turbo trainer. Okay. Okay, good to know. But we want to head through this tunnel. Try not to land on the ground, funnily enough. You just want to keep flying through the tunnel without landing on the ground. Otherwise, you'll have to start all over. At the end here, we want to keep flying up, up, up. And here is the Jiggy that we unlocked earlier. Actually, there's a flight pad here anyway. So let's fly back to where we were. But let's try to see if we can go down a little bit. Yeah, well, we'll just go through the same way we came out. Oh, there's a gold feather there. I didn't even notice that. But we're actually trying to take advantage of the Beak Bomb to do nothing to that eye, but let's do something with the other glass eye of this statue, which is a lot bigger. Alright, we got that destroyed, so that's pretty good. And we lost a little bit of health. That's going to be fine because I think we're going to call it wraps here. Yep. Let's defeat this guy, though. He looked at me funny. So next time, on Let's Play Banjo-Kazooie, things are going to get spooky as we take on Mad Monster Mansion. And if you have a craving for pumpkin soup or pumpkin pie, that might be the time to do it. So you guys take care. Hope you enjoyed this episode going over some of the best levels in the game. And I'll see you next time.